Hello everybody, we're going to be working on neck and shoulders today. What you will need is a block or a book, a little toy ball, as small as possible. Golf ball will be good, maybe a bit too big, something smaller will be better. And then something a little bit bigger, like the size of a tennis ball. If you've got a spiky massage ball, that's perfect too. So I'm working through shoulders and neck, same as you, just making sure that at no point there is a pain into the neck, any referred pain or shooting pain down the arms. Just making sure that it might be uncomfortable because of stiffness and tension, but there shouldn't be pain. So when you're ready, follow me down on the mat, lowering yourself all the way down until you're resting on the back. Finding a nice and neutral alignment, a comfortable position. The lower back is soft, the legs bent or straight, whatever feels more comfortable. The back of the head is resting on the mat, the neck is relaxed. Now, if you find that the head is tilting backwards, so the neck is pinching at the back, it's all compressed at the back, and then you might want to use the block or towel or something behind the head to bring it up slightly, just making sure that the back of the neck feels a little bit more open, the head is in a better position. I'm looking straight up at the ceiling. Once you feel that the head is set, I'm just going to start with a little skull rock, tucking the chin down into the throat as if you're trying to give yourself a double chin. And then I'm going to lift it away as if I was trying to look behind me. So I'm going to tuck it in, and then I'm going to lift away and look behind. Just making sure that nothing is pinching, just to try to mobilize through the back of the neck, especially as you're pressing the chin down. See if you can picture the back of your neck flattening against the mat. So see if I can make it so long that it's going flat against the floor. Then I'm going to lift, look up, look back again, and then I'm going to tuck it in again. And then release, and then tuck it in again. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Returning the head back to its neutral position, and then this time nice and gentle I'm going to start to rotating from side to side, just turning to look over one shoulder, coming back, turning to look the other way. Noticing the difference between right and left side. So I might find that on one side I can feel the opposite shoulder popping up. See if I can be aware of the shoulders, keeping relaxed or keeping down. And then as I feel the movement, it starts feeling a little bit easier, starts feeling a little bit more even, both right and left side. I'm going to see if I can make the stretch just a little bit stronger. So as I'm turned to look over the left shoulder, I'm going to press my right shoulder harder into the ground to see if I can create a little traction down the side of the neck. Easing back to the center, and then I'm going to do the same thing the other way. Easing back to the center, and then do the same thing to the other side. So noticing how far you can turn to the right, how far you can turn to the left, how easy it is to turn to the right, how easy it is to turn to the left. I'm going to return the head back to the middle, resetting your neutral, resetting that centered position. And then I'm going to try and see if I can release across to encourage a better movement. So grabbing hold of your little massage ball, so little bouncy ball, I'm going to pop the ball right into the middle. So if you find at the base of the skull, where the base of the skull attaches to the neck, where they join together, right in the middle, there should be a little pocket there. If there is tension into the neck, that pocket will be jammed. So I might find that I can't feel anything, it's just like it's locked. And it's possibly going to be quite tender, quite sore as well. So I'm just going to pop the ball into that little pocket there. And then if you find that the neck is obviously quite arched, so I can't hold, I'll have to hold the ball there, then the best thing is again is to put the little wedge behind me. I'm going to rest the ball on the wedge and then rest the head on the ball. And then very, very little movement. I'm just going to go forward and back. So imagine that skull rock again, but in a much smaller version. So I'm just going to rock it gently forward and back, and maybe a little bit side to side. I want the ball to stay into the pocket. What I'm trying to do is imagine to be making that pocket bigger. So see if I can release some of the tension. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then easing the pressure off, I'm going to pull the ball out, allowing the head to drop down. Try a couple of movement left and right, a couple of tilting forward and back, and noticing if there is a difference, and that might not be any. And then I'm going to change the position of the ball. This time I'm going to roll over onto my side, finding a comfortable position. And then I'm going to set the little ball into the little pocket next to the eye. So if you find the corner of your eye, and then you just go maybe an inch in towards your ear, is right into the temple there. So again, there should be a little pocket in there. That's where I'm going to put the ball. So I'm going to pop the ball in there, and then I'm just going to lean into it. And then I'm just going to gently, same as I did on the back of the head, I'm just going to put little pressure, see if I can release it through. And then exactly the same as I did on the back of the neck, you might find that is quite tender, is quite sore. So I decide how much weight I'm going to let go into the ball, so I can just let the weight of the head fully drop onto it. If I find that's excruciatingly painful, I'm just going to ease that pressure, just making sure that it's not too painful. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing the pressure gradually, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So rolling over onto the other side, switching yourself around. I'm going to pop the ball into the pocket next to the other eye, making sure that you're not into the eye. And then again, I'm just going to let the weight of the head gradually sink in, rolling the ball ever so slightly, see if I can find the right spot, when you're there. And then I'm just going to hold that steady pressure there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing the pressure, releasing. I'm going to roll over onto the back. I'm going to put the ball one more time into the little pocket at the back of the head, at the back of the skull. So right in the middle again, find the base of the skull, center it through, and then again, see if we can let the weight of the head sink into the ball trying to open up the space into that little pocket in there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Moving the ball out of the way, same as before. Testing the range, rotating to one side, rotating to the other, tucking the chin, lifting the head, noticing if the movement feels a little bit easier, a little bit looser. Once that you feel that, once that you've tested different directions and the different movement, and then rolling over onto the side and then pushing yourself up into sitting. I'm going to find a comfortable seated position, sitting on the block, sitting on a cushion or something, to allow the back to sit up as straight as possible, making sure that the hips are not straggling, they're not straining through. And then from there I'm going to start to moving the head gently from one side onto the other. So trying to stretch along the side of the neck, going to the top of the shoulder, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Noticing if it's just the head that is moving, or if you feel that your shoulders are moving too. See if you can hold the shoulders still, just moving the head one side and then the other. 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back to the middle, I'm going to turn to look over the right shoulder, come back, turn to look over the other way, come back, turn to look one way, come back, turn to look the other. As I feel the rotation feels a little bit more even, again I feel that it's just my head that is moving, not my shoulders that are following through, so not my ribcage that is rotating. Then I'm going to turn to look over one shoulder, and then keeping the head there, tucking the chin in, imagine to be dropping the chin down to the shoulder or the nose or down to the shoulder. Encouraging a gentle stretch down the back of the neck, all the way down to the top of the shoulder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing the tension, returning the head back, turning the head to look at the other way. Tucking the chin in, dropping the chin, dropping the nose. Let's see if I can be aware of that gentle traction right to the back of the neck. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And easing back. Returning the head back to the middle. I'm going to tuck the chin down towards the chest. And then placing both hands to the top of the head, fingertips are just behind the head. At the same time, I'm going to press down with the hands and lift up with the head. So the head shouldn't actually go anywhere, it should stay in the same position. But as I put the tension on, I should be able to feel stretch coming down the back of the neck, all the way down, possibly the back of the rib cage, middle of the back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease the pressure, and then returning the head back. Just releasing through the neck. It's just a little bit more movement around the neck. I'm going to try and see if I can release it through, but working into the back of the shoulder and then across the front of the chest. So across the front of the chest, you can use the spiky ball, or you can just use your hand, your fingers. I'm going to work along the vest line. So think of a point that starts from just below your collarbone and then comes down across the front of the chest or towards the armpit. I'm not going into the armpit. So I'm going to start rubbing around there. See if I can ease off some of the stiffness, some of the tension. Same as you've been doing so far. If there is any point along the way that feels quite tender, that feels quite sore, then I'm just going to stay there, see if I can try and ease some of the stiffness or some of that tension away. As you're pressing around this area, as there is a lot of going on in there, nerve-wise, cardiovascular system-wise, and lymphatic system-wise, if you feel that you start getting a little bit of like tingling down the arm, it's absolutely fine. As far as when you release that pressure, the tingling is gone. So just going gentle. I'm not trying to drive my hands to the back of my rib cage. I'm just rubbing easily, see if I can create a little bit more movement into that tissue. If the tissue feels really sticky or feels really hard, heavy, I'm just going to try and see if I can massage it, try to soften it, trying to loosen it up. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1, and releasing. Same thing to the other side. So I'm just going to start from just below the collarbone and then come down that vest line. See if I can try and ease up some of the tension. Noticing any difference between the right and the left side as well. This side might be feeling a lot looser, a lot easier. Might feel a lot stiffer, a lot more tender. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, resetting the shoulders, and then same as before, we're going to try and retest the movement. So I'm going to drop the head down to one side, noticing if it's the same, if it's easier, harder. Low, dropping the head the other way, coming back to the center, turning to look over one shoulder, turning to look over the other. Turning the head, tucking the chin in, see if I can maybe drop the head a little bit further, see if I can feel a little bit more freedom around the neck, come back, turn the other way, let the chin drop, lifting back, returning the head back to the middle. So noticing, you might have noticed that there is a difference, you might have noticed that nothing has happened. I'm going to try and see if I can start involving getting the arms a little bit more involved. So I'm going to start raising one arm up to the front. What I want is as the arm comes up, possibly, you know, see if you can get yourself in front of a mirror or something. See if you can be aware of the shoulder. As the arm comes up, see if I can avoid that shrugging. The shrugging on the shoulder is creating tension into the neck, but it also, to create that pull, the body has to kind of like hunch over to lift the arm up. So it's pulling me forward, it's crushing me down. See if I can be aware of the chest is staying lifted as the arm comes up, the shoulder is staying down, the neck is staying long. I can easily turn my head from side to side. There is no restriction into the neck, there is no tension into the neck as the arm is moving. So I'm going to try a couple of raises on both sides. Noticing one side feels easier, my right arm feels easier, my left arm feels a little bit more restricted. I feel that I've got to kind of like work a little bit harder to pick up the arm. I don't want to force it, because I know if I force it's going to start hitching up at the shoulder. So I'm just going to maybe make the movement a little bit smaller on that side. Once you feel happy with the movement, as I can feel the difference between the right and the left side, if there is any, I'm going to lift both arms at the same time. And then I'm going to ease back. And this is when I start realizing whether the restriction is actually coming from my shoulder or from my back. If my back is hunched over, so if I'm slightly rounded shoulder, as the arm comes up, the lift will tend to come from the back of the neck. As my back is not moving, it's not wanting to extend, it's not wanting to lift. If the restriction is coming from the shoulder, then even if the back extends, the shoulder will kind of like pull me back down. So see if you can notice the movement. Can I feel as the arms start coming up, that little lift through the top of the chest, the extension through the upper back? Or do I feel stuck into that rounded shoulder position? As I get past a certain point with the arms, does it feel as if I'm immediately recruiting into the neck, tightening through the jaw, tightening through the upper body? So see if I can try and find a smaller movement and then keeping it looser. 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the back. It's just a little bit more awareness of the arm and the back, shoulders and neck. I'm going to try and see if I can release it from the back of this arm using the tennis ball, the spiky ball, whichever one you've managed to find. So I'm going to put the ball down and then I'm going to lie down with the rib cage onto the ball. We're going to work one band and then the other band. So think of the spine dividing the back in two. right and left side. I'm going to work just the right side. So on the right side of the spine, I'm going to put the ball in there, and then I'm just going to try and work along those muscles. So I'm going to lower myself down until I'm resting on the ball. Again, if the back muscles are quite tight, you might find that it's quite painful to lie onto the ball. So I suggest you either do it on something softer, so you can use the carpet or mattress, or if you find that that's too much, you can put the ball against the wall. So you can stand against the ball, so you decide how much pressure. So I'm going to roll the ball so that is right behind that shoulder blade, so it's between my right shoulder blade and my spine. It's right into that little space there, and then from there I'm just going to kind of like jiggle it around and moving it from side to side, up and down, just more movement, supporting the head. If you feel that you need to support the head, see if you can find any tight spot along the way. So I've started at the bottom of the shoulder blades, so that doesn't feel too bad. Maybe as I'm moving towards the shoulder blade, yes, there is a little bit in there, so I'm just going to try and massage it gently, see if I can try and release through. And then I'm going to move up a couple of inches, so I'm now right into the middle of the shoulder blade, between the spine and the shoulder blade. I'm not going onto the shoulder blade, so rolling the ball over the shoulder blade, that will definitely be painful. So I'm just going to stay into the muscles, so your erector spinae muscles, the muscles that run along the spine. And then I might find that again, it feels quite easy, or this actually feels quite sticky, feels quite tender. I'm just going to stay here for a little bit longer. And then I'm going to move up a fraction higher, so I'm at the top of the shoulder blades, so getting closer to your upper traps, so the big muscles that runs from the neck down towards the shoulder. So I'm going to try and release it through there. And then again, if there is any neck issue around that area, it will feel quite sore, quite tender. I'm just going to let the weight of the head drop down and then jiggle the ball around. See if I can find any tight spot. You can use your hand, just grabbing hold of the muscle and almost like rolling it over the ball. So see if I can try and ease again tension from the side of the neck or from the back of that shoulder. If you find any point that feels quite sore, quite painful, so it's like a trigger point, I'm just going to hold the pressure steady on that trigger point. Just count to 10, count to 12, and then I'm going to start jiggling the ball around again. I might find the same point, I might find another point. Whenever I find that point, I'm just going to hold the pressure steady 12 seconds, or until I feel that the discomfort kind of like eases off as I keep that pressure steady on that point. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to keep the ball underneath the upper traps, so it's not into the middle of the back, it's not touching the rib cage, and it's not right into the center of the neck, so it's not pressing against the bone, it's just pressing against that flappy muscles at the top of the shoulder into the side of the neck. I'm going to let the head relax down, keeping it supported if I need to keep it supported, and then I'm going to start raising the right arm up and towards the ceiling. I'm going to take the arm behind. As the arm goes behind, it will put a little bit more pressure into the ball, so encouraging the ball to sink a little bit deeper into the tissue. Again, I'm not after pain. There might be discomfort, but I'm not creating pain. So I'm going to keep the movement smaller if I feel that the discomfort is just too much, if it's excruciating. I want the body to be able to relax a little bit more each time. So I don't want to cause pain, because if I cause pain, the tendency will be for the body to stiffen up, to protect, to tighten up even more. Last time, lifting the arm, reaching behind, and then releasing back, easing the pressure of the ball.
I'm going to drop myself down and then just noticing any difference between the right and the left side. Does the right side feels a little bit lighter, feels a little bit looser compared to the left side. We're going to do exactly the same thing on the left. So I'm going to pop the ball behind the back. This time working down that left band. So I'm going to start in line with the bottom of my shoulder blade, and then I'm just going to jiggle it around a bit, noticing if it feels different compared to the other side. Same. I'm going to start moving the ball up slightly, so bringing it towards the center of the middle of the lateral border of the scapulus, in the middle of the scapula, but not on the scapula. And then noticing the tension here. I can feel a lot more pressure, it's a lot more uncomfortable here. So I found my trigger point, so I'm just going to let myself sink into it. I can feel that the discomfort is changing, is getting better. So I'm just going to move it around again. And then I'm going to drop down a little bit more, see if I can bring the ball up towards the top corner of the shoulder blade. And then again, I'm going to jiggle it around. And then here it feels quite relaxed. I'm just going to play about a bit. And then I'm going to drop down one more time, see if I can let the ball sink into the trap. The same as before, I might just with my hand just kind of like roll the muscle over the ball, so see if I can really trying to give it a good squeeze, to see if I can relax at the top as much as I possibly can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to keep the ball there right under the upper traps, keeping the pressure steady, and then I'm going to start to taking the top arm up and towards the ceiling, reaching it behind. So as the arm goes behind, I can feel a little bit more pressure into the ball, into the tissue, and then I'm just going to ease the arm back. So lifting it up, reach it behind, and then coming back. 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, easing the pressure off the ball, dropping the shoulder down, allowing the shoulders to relax, to reset, and noticing if it feels different again. Might feel different, it might feel the same. When you're ready, rolling over onto the side and then slowly pushing yourself back up into sitting. Again, finding that comfortable seated position, and then I'm just going to retest my range of movement around the neck and then into the arms. So I'm going to start turning the head to look over one shoulder, turning the head to look the other way, turning the head, dropping the chin, coming back, turning the head, dropping the chin, coming back, bring the head back to the middle, dropping one ear down to the shoulder, dropping it down the other way, letting the chin curl in, tucking it into the chest, just lifting it up, looking behind, and then coming back to the middle, and then trying the arm again. So I'm going to raise my right arm, come back, my left arm, come back. I can feel the right arm feels a lot easier, the left arm definitely much better than it was before. Both arms together, noticing if the shoulders are still chin up, the chin is poking forward, or the back is still feeling as stiff as it was. And then releasing back, releasing through the shoulders, releasing through the neck.
And then I'm going to try and see if I can encourage just a little bit more movement through the thoracic spine and into the upper back. So I'm going to take myself and roll myself all the way back down onto the mat. Raising both arms up and towards the ceiling, keeping the head down on the ground. And then I'm just going to just gently start swinging the arms from one onto the other side, from one onto the other side. So rolling from shoulder to shoulder, trying to gently massage across to the middle of the back of the rib cage. 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back to the middle, extending the legs away. I'm going to let the one arm reach behind us, so trying to get that arm out of the way. With the other arm, I'm going to reach across, but this time what I want is that arm to take me onto my side. So I'm going to reach across with the arm. I'm going to turn the head, look where you want to go, lifting the head off the ground. I'm going to keep pulling through the arm. Try not to push with the legs. I'm going to keep pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling until I'm on my side. And then with the same control, I'm just going to ease my way back down, making sure that I'm not dropping down too quickly. I'm going to move that arm out of the way. With the other arm, I'm going to reach across, lifting the head, look where you want to go, and then pulling yourself that way. Noticing how much easier it is to roll over onto one side than it is on the other. Notice how much effort is actually coming from the legs, to see if I can keep the legs nice and floppy, nice and loose. So just encouraging the head, the shoulders and the upper body to create that little rotation through. 4, 5, last one, 6, and releasing back. Bring the arms back by the side, finding your collarbones, and then think of splitting the collarbone in half, right onto the halfway point. So just below the collarbones. If that's my collarbone, I want about halfway, so in line with the nipple. I'm going to drop the fingers just below the collarbones, and then I'm going to start rubbing in there, both right and left side. I'm going to keep traveling down towards the chest or towards the breast, but I'm not going into the breast, so I'm staying just above the breast. And then find the point. There is normally it changes depending from person to person, but around that little area there, if I wriggle my hands, my fingers around and down, you will find a point where it feels quite uncomfortable. So I'm going to try and stay there, see if I can try and ease some of the tension away again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing back. I'm going to try one more time, taking one arm out of the way, reaching the other arm up, crossing over, lifting the head, rolling over one way, coming back to the middle, get the arm out of the way, reaching across with the other arm, take the head with you, rolling over onto the other side, coming back to the middle, returning back, bring the arms down by the side, tucking the chin in, lifting the head, lifting the shoulders up, connecting through the center, sitting all the way back up, using the arms to help if I need to, rolling over onto the side and pushing if you feel that you can't. As you get to the top of finding a comfortable seated position, I'm going to scoop one arm out to the side, lifting it up and towards the ceiling, and then flexing to the side. I'm going to let the arm drop forward, rounding into the back, coming back to the middle, lifting myself up, scooping the other arm, flex into the side, coming forward into flexion, round and come back. One more time each way, up and over, coming forward, back to the middle, up and over, coming forward, back to the middle, releasing all the way back up. I hope that helped releasing some of the stiffness and some of the tension of the neck. Make sure that you drink plenty of water, as what we've got moving. You want to keep it moving, keep it flowing, especially if you feel that there is a little bit of a headache coming on. So making sure that you drink plenty of fluid for the next 24 hours, and then just let me know how you feel. I hope you've enjoyed the video. So please subscribe to the channel, pop a like onto the video, and I hope I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.